What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, a special Kickstarter review. And today I'm very excited to check out Herbaceous from Pencil First Games LLC and Dr. Finn's Games. This is for 2 to 4 players. Ages, I'd say about, let's see, 8 plus. Will take about 20 minutes to play. And in Herbaceous, you are going to be growing a herb garden and planting out lavender and tarragon and bay and just trying to have the most lovely garden. You're going to be really collecting sets, putting cards out into public areas and private areas, and trying to get the most points by pushing your luck to that perfect spot where you should push it. What am I talking about, though? Let's open it up, and I'll show you how it works. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Herbaceous. First and foremost, we're going to our handy dandy rule booklet. What is it, about 8 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. It's very well done. I actually screwed up the first time I played, but that was completely user error. After going back and looking at the rule booklet, it's a very well done rule booklet. Have you up and running no time at all. So in Herbaceous, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be planting herbs in your 4 different containers down here and trying to get the most points at the end of the game. On your turn, generally, you're only going to be taking 1 action, so it's a very simple game. We'll go over the components, then we'll get a little bit into the gameplay. So card-wise, first, everyone is going to get 4 different containers down here, and I'll show you those containers right now. First one, you got your small pots right over here, which is you're going to want different pairs of identical herbs. The more cards you have down there, the more points you are going to get at the end of the game. Next, you have your wooden planter, and you want all different herbs down here. So if you get all 7 different herbs here, boom, 14 points. So you can see how that works. Next, the large pot, which as you can tell by that iconography, is going to be all the same type of herbs. This one can score you a lot of points, but it's going to be very difficult to get because everybody's going to be taking those herbs from you. Last but not least, we have the glass jar, which is the special one here. It will only accommodate what are called special herbs. Not those kind of special herbs. Which have the numbers 1, 2, or 3 on them. Let me see if I can pull one up for you. There you go. We have mint and chive, which these clearly weren't shuffled too well because these are very rare cards. There's only 3 of these, 3 of each number in the entire game. So those ones will be hard to fill. But if you're able to somehow fill it with a 1, a 2, and a 3, you'll also get this little buttery biscuit, which will give you 5 extra victory points at the end of the game. That sometimes happen, but you really have to need to focus on getting that. So next, you're going to have this deck of card right here, which is going to have your herbs in it, your lavenders, your mints, your chive, well, those are the special cards, your sage, your bays, and really there's no difference between any of these cards except for the name and the artwork on these guys. So when you first start the game, you're going to shuffle them up. You're going to remove X amount of cards depending on how many players you have in the game, and then you can start, and we'll go through the 2 phases. So the first phase is the pot herbs phase. I'll actually show you that last because you're not going to do it. You're only going to do it a maximum of 4 times per game because when you pot herbs, you are essentially shutting down that container. So if you had, say, 4 different ones and you put them in here, you may not put any more herbs in this container. This container is done for you for the rest of the game. So it becomes a little bit of a push your luck aspect as you try and push yourself further and further so you can have the best container possible. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's show you how this works. First thing you're going to do on your phase is the plant phase. You're going to flip over the top card and you are going to decide if you want to put it in your personal garden, which will be down here, or in the public garden. If it's in the public garden, then people will be able to take it later on in the game and put it into their containers. If it's in the personal garden, then no one will be able to touch it except for you. So let's see, this is bay, you know, pretty generic, so I might put it out in the middle. And then this means the next card is going to immediately go into my personal garden, and it's more bay. Vice versa, if I would have said, you know what, I really want this bay, and I put it down here, that means the next card will immediately go into the public garden. And that would be my entire turn. So let's just fast forward a little bit. Let's throw out some cards and say, this and this. Oh, actually, that's crazy. That and this and that is right there. So now we get to my turn once again, and now I'll show you how the potting herbs phase works. I choose one of my containers, and I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to go for this container right here, and then I can collect a set of herbs from both my private and my common garden. So for this particular instance, I would take all 4 of these bay. I would say, you know what? I got 4 of them here. I put it right there to signify that I have 14 points, and bada boom, I've taken those out of the public garden, and now I have 14 points toward the end of the game, and then I would rinse, wash, and repeat, going and saying, you know what, I want this lavender, and then putting this out here. Anywho, you are going to continue to go until all of the cards in the deck run out, at which point then you will go around only doing the pot herbs phase until no one else can do it. Then you'll tally up the points, and whoever is the most points will be the winner of Herbaceous, and that in a nutshell is how the game is played. Alrighty then, Herbaceous from Dr. Finn's Games and Pencil First Games LLC. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, the game's not going to be for everybody for a couple different reasons. 2 to 4 players, very restricted player count. Also, most of the time, there's not too many choices you're going to be making on your turn. Do I pot herbs? Probably not most of the time. Then you move on to the plant phase. Do I want this card or do I not want this card? If I don't want it, then guess what? I get the next card. If I do want it, then I don't get the next card. And that's really all you're going to be doing. It can also get very repetitive in that aspect, which is going to be a turnoff to some people. The planting herb theme, it's not exciting. That might turn off some people. There's not really too much I could poke holes in this game, and that's something that I've consistently noticed about a lot of Dr. Finn's games. They're very rock-solid games, and this one continues on that trend. So, easy to learn, easy to teach. The artwork is not my personal cup of tea, but it's nicely done. The graphic design is nicely done. The player aid card is very useful and very helpful. This game is a good game night filler game. It's a good, it's a good gateway game. This is a very simple gateway game. This is going to be kind of a chameleon game. I feel like I could bust this game out in just about any instance as long as I have 2 to 4 players, and it's probably going to go over really well. It's got enough interesting choices that gamers are not going to scoff at it. I especially like the push your luck aspect when the public garden starts to get filled up and you're like, oh man, I could push myself a little bit further, but I think someone's going to come in and just sweep that entire row. I also like the aspect that you don't have to go from your personal garden first. So that really changes how you plan what you want to do for which container you want to herb, because maybe you might start off thinking, you know what, I'm going to try and collect as many of this particular kind as I can, but then you might think, I kind of want to diversify my portfolio because that's going to give me more options for all the other containers. Do I go for the numbers or do I go for specific things? Because getting those number cards isn't going to be worth too many points, but at the same time, not everybody's going to be able to get those number cards. And it just adds, it has enough interesting elements into the game to, I think, make people come back to the game. So overall, Herbaceous from Dr. Finn's Games and Pencil First Games LLC, very rock-solid light filler game, great family game, great game night game if you're looking for a filler game. I already said that, and I think it'd be a great gateway game. So that is Herbaceous, one that I can recommend you check out. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know, has it driven you crazy that I've said herb the entire time instead of herb? For me personally, no, I obviously don't care, but I also say fresh thyme instead of fresh thyme. I just think it's weird how it's pronounced. But does it bug you? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.